She is.
I think we're going to see some changes on both sides of the field. I'm excited to see what Kelly can bring today.
And first pitch to Ailana Agbayani. That aggressive approach continues as she fouls the first pitch off. Let's go ahead and take a look at the BYU starting lineup. Very similar to what we've seen, but Ailana Agbayani leading the charge, going 4 for 5 in game 2. A pair of doubles, a pair of RBI, and she was really the person in this Cougar lineup that set the tone. Offensive lineup for BYU has been pretty similar this weekend as this pitch is popped up and Kelly Maxwell takes care of it herself. And just like that, Agbayani is retired, and the Sooners didn't see that much last night.
Agbayani was a true table setter, really set the tone, super aggressive yesterday. But getting that leadoff out is what we talked a lot about yesterday on both sides of the field. We didn't see too many leadoff hitters getting out last night.
Maddie Bejarano, the senior, stands in. Bejarano hitless last night, but did have an RBI on a sac fly. And going back quickly to Ailana Agbayani, we've talked about her so much in this series, and she has really been outstanding in the first 2 games. But 4 hits last night, the first time since 2020 that another player, an opposing player, has had 4 hits against OU pitching.
Yeah, it goes to show how great this pitching staff has been over the last, really decade. They've been dominant. Last night was a little bit rough for both teams in the circle. Lots of walks.
Bejarano drew a walk last night. That's a stat you're going to hear often today. lots of walks on both sides of the ball in game 2. So 1-2 is lined right back up the middle. And first hit here early for BYU as Bejarano is aboard with 1 out.
It's a really good piece of hitting. That pitch, it's a miss by Kelly Maxwell. You've got to get that ball a little bit more in.
Sophomore Lily Owens stands in. And ground ball could be a pair if it's turned quick enough. And just like that, Sooners out of the inning and hold BYU scoreless. Making it look smooth and getting the job done. We head to the bottom of the first.
I have the little red heart. Do you?
Welcome back to OU Softball, presented by Bud Light. We're scoreless as the freshman Kate Daly is getting the call for BYU. Daly has made appearances in both games so far in this series. Through an inning and 2/3 in game 1, gave up a couple of runs on 2 hits, but really kind of came in and held things down last night. Through 2 innings, did not surrender a run, only giving up 3 hits, but really moves the ball well, Destiny.
Yeah, she did a great job. I think we saw a little bit of struggle in the circle all around last night, but Kate Daly kind of held them down just as best as she could. The one thing that stands out to me is the amount of walks, and we talked about that all game long, but the amount of walks versus the amount of strikeouts she has on the season is kind of a red flag. She's going to have to limit that today.
And a new Sooner tradition taking place as all fans on their feet. The number 1 in the air for the first pitch as Jada Coleman leads it off for the Sooners as we take a look at that starting lineup. Very similar to what we've seen. Alina Torres getting the start at second base here today. And Sooners looking to get right offensively. Out hit by BYU yesterday in game 2. And the first time that this team has been out hit this season, just putting up 8 hits on the game. And Coleman laces this to right field, but right at Aaliyah Agbayani, and what has been kind of the name of the game for Jada in this series. Hitting the ball well, but right at people.
Yeah, Jada Coleman, they've got to find the timing, and I think that's what they're sort of struggling with, is these pitchers are not throwing as hard as what they've seen in the past. I think that may be an adjustment that they've got to really focus on. Make that timing adjustment and find some gaps.
Jennings stands in. We've got ourselves a bit of a breeze here at Love's Field today. The wind is blowing straight out to right field, so anything that gets up in the air to right could definitely get out of here today. So if you're in right field, make sure you've got your glove. You need to be ready. Strong winds in Norman today.
We've learned that here at Love's Field, there's a little bit of a tunnel between that building down the left field line. It's a little bit of a wind tunnel that already sends the ball out, but the wind will definitely help that get out.
2-0 to Jennings. Catches the top half of the zone for strike one. Jennings 1 for 3 last night in game 2. Hit a 2-run shot that tied the game up at 4. And that was all the scoring for the Sooners. And there's that off speed from Daly.
We've seen a lot of that. We've seen, I mean, amongst the last 2 games against BYU, there's been a lot of mix of speed going on. Sooners have not made those adjustments. I've not seen a solid hit with a off-speed changeup.
2-2 fouled back. And, you know, Dustin, we just talked about the wind blowing straight out to right field, right? At what point, knowing Daly and nearly every pitcher on this BYU staff does not have overpowering velocity, changing speeds, at what point do you start sitting late rhythm and focus on taking the ball the other way?
I think the challenge with that is they're not throwing a lot of strikes either.
Yep.
You've got to hammer what you get.
10 walks delivered by BYU pitchers last night in game 2. 5 walks in game 1. The 2-2 to Jennings is gonna loop in for a 1-out single. Jennings is gonna try to turn it into a double, and she does. Aggressive base running from Tiare Jennings and taking advantage of a little blooper out into left field.
And that is what it's all about. Just finding your way on. You could just see her find her way on, getting that barrel out to the ball, and taking 2.
Freshman Ella Parker, an opportunity here to put the Sooners on top. Early, Sooners never led in game 2, playing catch up from the first inning, as BYU scored 6 of the 7 innings last night. And back pick to Jennings, and BYU catcher Haley Morrow has done a really good job in this series. We've talked so much about BYU pitching at times having a hard time finding the zone, but Morrow has really been solid back behind the plate. Another blooper to the left side. Agbayani is gonna glove it for the 2nd out of the inning to bring up Kinsey Hansen. BYU head coach Gordon Eakin in his 22nd season at the helm of BYU, 823 and 387, has really done a tremendous job with this BYU program, has been a staple in postseason. And BYU's first season in the Big 12 has made a statement knocked off Oklahoma State earlier this year, picked up the win against the Sooners last night, and gonna have a quick meeting here. And we saw this a lot yesterday, Destiny, of the game coming to a screeching halt.
Yes.
At times, and whatever the conversation was, the umpiring crew saying, not happening today. So, gonna get back to it as Ella Parker stands in. 2 outs. And a little check swing from Ella Parker. Although Ella Parker is back in the box, and it looks like there was an illegal pitch thrown by Kate Daly, and they snuck one by us here, Destiny. It was a very quick turnaround. So Parker back in the box, ground ball to the right side. Tiare Jennings is gonna move up to third, and Parker is retired to now place 2 outs. And it is our understanding the ruling on the field on the pop-up from Parker, a legal pitch, out removed. And the score will now be 4-3 for the second out of the inning. The entire BYU coaching staff and pitching coach out to have a chat and get Daly situated here.
What is going on here?
Chaos, guys. Chaos at Loves Field.
Lots of conversations amongst umpires and coaches and players, and they snuck that one in on us with Ella Parker getting the bat back in her hands.
And the most interesting part to me about all of this is Daly has thrown in every single game. We have not seen a single issue. So, nonetheless, let's reset things. Runner at third, 2 outs, and Kinsey Hansen at the plate to face Kate Daly. In what felt like a anticlimactic night offensively for the Sooners, Kinsey Hansen was outstanding, going 3 for 4 with an RBI. Yo one is popped up behind home plate. Catcher Haley Morrow cannot find it, and Hansen gonna get another opportunity here.
That's tough. Those are opportunities that you can't give up to a hitter like Kinsey Hansen, and really an offense like OU. It's a tough thing to do, to come out of the box as a catcher and flip the mask and find that ball, but that would have been a huge out with runner on third. Kinsey Hansen at the plate.
Daly fires the 0-2. And we saw that last night, BYU making some plays. But, and you kind of hinted at it, Destiny, you've got to make the routine plays, and you got to make the above average plays sometimes to keep this offense off the board.
Talking to Coach Eakin, he knows. I mean, he has said they're well aware of the free passes that their pitching staff gives up. But if their defense can remain solid, make some good plays, make the most routine plays, and a little more, they're in good shape. Their offense is very aggressive. If they can put some runs on the board and limit the runs.
Foul ball, and much as we've seen since Loves Field has opened, the third baseline is an absolute magnet. We will do the 1-2 again. And Kate Daly looking to work out of a jam here in the bottom of the first. to the right side. And a misplayed ball. Jennings will score. And just like that, the Sooners are on top. And if we replay Kinsey Hansen's entire at-bat, 2 missed opportunities by BYU defense to get their pitcher out of an inning.
Yeah. It's a good battle by Kinsey Hansen, just finding her way on. I feel like she was trying to find that timing adjustment and get herself to be on time.
An error on right fielder Aaliyah Agbayani. And Torres getting the start here today. Entered the game late in game 2. And Dally falls behind for the first time here in this inning.
Man, those are the plays that have got to be made from BYU.
Coach Gasso in her 30th year at the helm of the Sooners. And we've talked a lot, Destiny, and we're gonna hopefully talk about it a lot less today. All right, we've talked about the walks delivered by both pitching staffs so far in this series, but one thing that BYU has done a good job of is being clean defensively. Dally hammering the strike zone here early, but the defense coming up a little short. And the unearned run here in the first gives the Sooners the lead. Dally fires the 28th pitch of this inning. The freshman seeing a lot of innings for the Cougars this season. She brings the 2-2 and laced up the middle, but center fielder Lily Owens takes care of it to minimize the damage here in the first. But Sooners plate 1 to make it 1-0. We head to the top of the second.
Go, go, go.
We go to the top of the second. Sooners up 1-0. Let's take a look at our Riverwind keys to the game.
BYU's got to stay aggressive. They came out really strong yesterday. They were hacking at every opportunity, every pitch that they got. OU, I want to see them stay disciplined. Offensively, defensively, they got worked on the dirt last night. So I'd love to see them really communicate and make those plays. Offensively, they've got to stay disciplined. They've got to move their runners. We saw a lot of runners left on base last night on both sides of the field.
19 runners left on base between these two teams last night. Sooners stranding 11 and BYU stranding 8 as BYU's RBI leader and Hunter Ava stands in. Ava been left pretty quiet so far in this series, but has really had a tremendous season for BYU as this one's popped up on the infield. Sanders is underneath it and gonna hang tough with the sun for the first out here in the second.
This is what we did not see yesterday. Leadoff outs. It's big time for Kelly Maxwell to kind of set the tone, keep those leadoff runners or batters from getting on base, keep the momentum from shifting into that BYU dugout.
Maddie Udall stands in, and BYU reached base with their leadoff hitter in each inning last night. And something that, you know, we talked about a ton yesterday. And I take that back. 6 of the 7 innings, BYU reaching base with their leadoff hitter, as this is hit well to center field. Jada Coleman's on her way back, and that ball's going to get out of here. And just like that, BYU punching right back, as we've seen this team do. And we've got ourselves a tie ball game here in the
out of here. What a shot. Again, a missed pitch. That was right down the middle. And these hitters are so aggressive.
And Maddie Udall ties this game up with one swing of the bat to bring up the junior Kayla Kamoku. And Maxwell was nearly perfect in game 1 through a 1-hit shutout and just made quick work of what is really a pretty potent BYU offense. And BYU clearly making some adjustments here today. Already have a pair of hits on the board, which is more than they got in the entire first game against Maxwell. But with that being said, needing to get off the plate, as this is popped up to left field, and Riley Boone is going to take care of it for the second out of the inning. As the Boone chants commence, it is Riley Boone Senior Day here at Loves Field. Nobody on and 2 outs for catcher Haley Morrow. Morrow behind the plate, spent an inning at short last night with some of the pitching changes that we saw out of the BYU bullpen. And in a pitcher's count here, no balls and 2 strikes. Morrow, a 2 for 3 night in game 2 with an RBI.
She's taking her hacks. We saw a lot of foul balls last night. They're not letting any good pitches just go by. We'll have to go back and look, but there's not a lot of called strikes. They're taking their hacks.
19, excuse me, pitches thrown for Kelly Maxwell here early in this game, but aggressive. Batters in the box as that pitch just misses inside. I like the location, though. Getting in on the hands.
It's a good location for that count.
The 2-2 is skied high to right field. Cassidy Pickering takes care of it. And BYU knots it up at 1 after the Maddie Udall shot. We're knotted up at 1. We head to the bottom of the second. This is OU.
Hot honey pizza and wings. It's the first new flavor to make you say, pizza what?
Tied at 1 as we go to the bottom of the second inning. And Big 12 standings getting a little tight. And a tighter race than we've seen in years past, Destiny. But Oklahoma still leading the conference with about a 1.5 game lead. But it is going to be down to the wire the rest of this Big 12 conference.
Yeah, it is a dogfight. Oklahoma still has to face Oklahoma State. That'll be a big series.
UCF also still on the slate, and the Houston Cougars come to town next weekend. So a long road ahead as far as Big 12 conference play. But still business to take care of here today as the Sooners are tied up here early. And Cassidy Pickering looking to get something moving for the Sooners. So this is popped up in foul territory, and Maddie Udall recovers and makes the catch for the first out here in the second.
Hey, whatever it takes to make the play, get the out.
And, you know, as Alyssa Brito comes to the plate, it's already an error on the board for BYU, a costly error. I mean, tied up here at 1, and the unearned run in the first after a dropped fly ball out in right field. And Alyssa Brito, been a little quiet at the plate this weekend. Went 1 for 3 in game 1 and 0 for 1 last night. But did draw 3 walks.
I feel like the few times that she has made contact, she's a little early.
A little check swing, and you know, Destiny, I feel like that pitch right there just kind of shows the distortion in timing that we're seeing from Alyssa Brito right now.
Yeah. And I think, you know, it's something that the whole lineup is kind of dealing with. It's the timing adjustments, but I feel like Brito has struggled just a little bit in finding the right timing.
And this is going to bloop right at shortstop Agbayani. And Brito ahead of the off speed there, and 2 quick outs for Kate Daly here in the second to bring up Sydney Sanders.
See, that just kind of hit off the end of the bat, just showing the barrels out there way too soon.
Sanders seeing that average get close to that 300 mark. 1 for 4 in game 2. Hit a home run, 3-run home run here Thursday night. Daly falls behind here, 2 balls and no strikes. You know, Destiny, we're talking a lot about this OU team just kind of being out on their front foot and not letting the ball get deep. BYU pitching staff has done a very good job of keeping these hitters off balance. But what adjustment do the Sooners need to make?
You know, I think they just need to let the ball get deeper in the zone. I think their goal needs to be opposite field. They've got to see it later. No matter what pitch is being thrown, they're not. Kate Daly is not going to throw the ball by them.
Yep. And the 3-0 to Sanders misses inside, and much like what we saw in previous outings from Daly, 2 quick outs, and then all of a sudden a tough time finding the zone. A 4-pitch walk to Sanders is going to bring up Riley Boone. And as we mentioned, Riley Boone's senior day here today. It is also Native American Heritage Day here at the ballpark. The Osage Nation in attendance as Boone lays down a bunt. It's going to stay fair, and Boone beats it out to put runners at first and second for Jada Coleman. And Riley Boone applying a little bit of pressure and getting some things done a little bit of a different approach than what we saw a night ago.
I mean, that was a perfectly executed bunt. You see that ball just stay right in that batter's box. It's a close play at first base.
And tight play, catcher Haley Morrow popped out and really and truly made it closer than what I thought it was going to be. And like you said, Destiny, a perfectly placed bunt. Maybe could have gotten a little further off the plate, but absolutely into no man's land. And you can't blame BYU for taking a closer look at this, as the lineup would roll back over to Jada Coleman with runners at first and second and 2 outs. And there's a pretty good look. Pretty bang bang.
Yeah, it's a close play. Not only does this review,
and I think this might take a minute as the umpiring crew is having a look and the call is under review. And you mentioned this, Destiny, the game again coming to a halt.
yeah,
Last night's game took nearly 3.5 hours. You could just feel any time OU got any type of momentum, it was stopped immediately.
yeah.
This review, obviously, you have to review it if you're BYU. There is no reason not to. That's such a close play. But how much of that do you think affected the Sooners last night, and just having the game just screech and stop?
It was very effective, and I think Coach Eakin had a plan for that. And we'll see that call stick. Riley Boone will be safe at first. And call that momentum. It changes things.
And the call is upheld to pass the bat to Jada Coleman with runners at first and second and 2 outs. Sooners trying to mount a 2-out rally here after Kate Daly recorded 2 pop-up outs to start this inning. Coleman lined out to right field back in the first. 0 for 3 night for Jada last night. And drew a walk. And Daly falls behind here, 2 balls and no strikes. Daly on the season has walked 51 batters in 69 2/3 innings thrown. And having a tough time finding the strike zone here with 2 outs.
Bit of a struggle for Jada to get out of the way of that one.
The 3-0 just catches the bottom part of the zone. Sooner fans not happy with it.
Oh.
Good crowd here today.
If he's going to call that, we just got to see that be consistently called throughout the rest of this game.
Absolutely. 3-1 popped up to right field. Aaliyah Agbayani should take care of it. And the Sooners strand 2 in the second. We go to the top of the third. Knotted at 1.
It takes unstoppable teamwork to host the world's greatest Gulf Coast Hyundai dealer today.
Members become family.
Sooners Sports TV is brought to you by Air Comfort Solutions, your total home solution for plumbing, heating, air conditioning, and electrical. Make the winning call today. Riverwind Casino. It's always a good time. Taco Mayo. Big appetite, bigger savings. Download and save today.
8-9-1 due up for BYU as we go to the third, tied at 1 apiece. I'm DJ Sanchez along with Destiny McElroy and Kelly Maxwell back to work. And Aaliyah Agbayani, the senior right fielder, stands in, went 1 for 3 in game 2 with a run scored. And is sat down by Alyssa Burrito to bring up Macy Simmons.
Really hard hit ball. Burrito just ready to make a play.
Looked like she was just playing catch.
Yeah.
Easy enough. Macy Simmons hacks first pitch in the DP spot here today. Had a pinch hit opportunity last night. Simmons, a .216 hitter on the year, making her 12th start of the season.
Great spot by Kelly Maxwell. Finding that outside corner. It's a tough pitch to hit.
One thing, Maxwell, and it's something, I feel like almost a little bit of an anomaly for a lefty, but Maxwell does not throw a curveball. And that pitch that she's breaking in and out, she's really just spinning a rise ball, and there's the rise ball right there to get Macy Simmons for the first strikeout of the game to make it 2 quick outs for Kelly Maxwell, and what a spot.
A really good spot. Started right at the letters, went right up to the shoulders. It's a tough pitch to...
2 big outs, rolls it back over to Ailana Agbayani. Arguably the hottest hitter in this BYU lineup right now. 0 for 1 here today, but a 4 for 5 night last night. But kind of getting back to what we were talking about with Kelly, works that rise ball and the drop ball and just throws it at different levels, and part of the reason she's so effective, but there are so few pitchers in the country that can do what she does as a north and south pitcher to really locate that drop and that rise at different levels.
Yeah, I mean, the spin of her pitch is so good, and for her to be able to control the height, it's very impressive.
Absolute art. Fun to watch, but behind here, 3 balls and no strikes. She finds the zone, and you got to go after Agbayani here.
Got to. She's a great hitter, but with 2 outs, don't want to get any momentum into that BYU dugout.
3-1 misses outside, and it is a 2-out walk. Delivered by Maxwell to bring up Maddie Bejarano. The lefty senior had a single in her first at bat. .344 hitter on the season. And Kinsey Hansen doesn't like what she sees, gonna head out to have a chat with Maxwell in the circle. But in these positions, we talked about it a ton yesterday. Walks were a problem in game 2. Obviously, Kelly Maxwell not a part of that, but a 2-out walk here in the 3rd.
Yeah, we talk about getting that leadoff batter out, but also we want to see you close that inning out as well. So once you've got those 2 outs, giving up a walk is one thing, giving up a hit is another, but I'd rather see you give up a hit than putting somebody on, giving that free pass with 2 outs.
And Bejarano takes the pitch, and Agbayani takes off to steal second and into scoring position, and took the words right out of my mouth as Agbayani picks up her 9th stolen base on the season. And not even close. Does a good job seeing the ball in the dirt.
Kinsey Hansen really having to stick with that. It's a tough play to make.
in scoring position for Bejarano here in the third. An opportunity for BYU to take the lead. Big hack. A little bit of extra juice behind that rise ball from Kelly Maxwell to make it 2-2. Bejarano, a .462 hitter with runners in scoring position. It's another quick conversation on what was a check swing foul ball from Bejarano as she stays alive.
Feeling some frustration from these OU fans every time there's a timeout. They are hounding Coach Eakin.
Count runs full to Bejarano. Maxwell rocks and fires, and Bejarano maybe a little bit of a chase there, but stays alive nonetheless. Maxwell.
Raj, it's always time for a good time. Attaboy. We start early every day with old school burgers and fresh cut fries, plus beer and cocktails if you need something stronger. So, pretty rad, huh? Yeah, keep it classic. The Garage.
You're my very best friend.
You're my best friend.
Home plate umpire Chris Neighbors needs to be on ESPN Top 10 Plays. The catch of the game so far right here. Look at this.
There it is.
No reaction. Just ice cold. Making the play on the
Another
foul
day
ball.
behind the plate, that's
Hey,
all.
just another day at the office for Chris Neighbors. As we go to the bottom of the third, Tiare Jennings, Ella Parker, and Kinsey Hansen due up for the Sooners. Jennings responsible for the only run scored by the Sooners today, knocked a double back in the first and came around to score on a BYU error. And Daly falls behind here, 2 balls and no strikes. Dangerous place to live for a pitcher working in hitters' counts. Daly's behind here, 3 balls and no strikes. And I'll say this, Destiny. Kate Daly entered this game really working efficiently, and it looks like we're going to see potentially a pitching change here for BYU. And Sooner fans really giving this BYU staff a hard time. But I got to say, we've talked a lot about BYU and being a little shorthanded on their staff. That's part of what this coaching staff is doing right now. We're going to see quite a few changes here. We're going to tell you about it when we come back. We're tied at 1. This is OU softball from Bud Light.
Geico makes car insurance easy.
Say when.
As easy as loving Parmesan.
Say when.
And first pitch misses low to deliver the lead-off walk to Jennings. And Agbayani, again, not an everyday pitcher, but can spin the ball pretty well.
I mean, she's been great. They look to her to get a single job done. I think when she's come in the past, she's just kind of closed it out. That's what they look to her to do. She's typically their shortstop, but when they're in a bind and got to find some changes. Agbayani is the one that they call upon.
And with those changes, when Agbayani comes into the circle, obviously BYU making some changes of their own. DP Macy Simmons checks in behind the plates, and Haley Morrow, who started behind the plate, is now at short as Parker is plunked to put runners at first and second for Kinsey Hansen. And Haley Morrow at short. And an opportunity for the Sooners here to take advantage of the free passes. And something the Sooners have not done a good job of is taking advantage with runners on base. Left 11 stranded yesterday in game 2, have already left 3 stranded here today.
That was one of the topics within the keys this game is you've got to be disciplined enough to just move your runners. Take advantage of those free passes. And that was one thing Coach Eakin, they're very aware of the amount of free passes that BYU gives up. Now, if the other team isn't capitalizing on them, BYU might be in good shape.
We saw that yesterday, right? OU not able to take advantage of 10 walks delivered by BYU pitching.
10 walks, 11 runners left on.
You can't win games that way. And that's just the nature of it. Hansen takes the pitch up in the zone to run the count even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Hansen reached on an air back in the first. 2-2 right at Maddie Udall. Everyone retreats safely, but Udall making a play down the line to save a run.
Really great play. Just a shot off the bat of Kinsey Hansen. Udall making a great snag.
That'll bring up Alina Torres, who lined out to center field in her first at bat.
I think I'm most impressed with Agbayani just coming in from shortstop.
Yes.
Like, she wasn't in the bullpen getting any warm-up pitches in. They just took her right from shortstop.
Show and go, Destiny. Show and go. Hey, we don't have a tremendous view of the bullpens, but I'm with you. I'm 95% positive Agbayani has not thrown since this game started. I think we can maybe assume she threw before the game, but it takes a special type of athlete to just be able to turn it on like that.
I mean, and she's pretty great offensively. She's very involved in this game offensively, so I don't know if she even has time to go down to the bullpen and get any pitches in.
One-two is going to get past Udall. Jennings rounds third, but is going to stay put. And the single by Torres loads them up with 1 out for Cassidy Pickering.
Nice hit by Torres. Just getting her hands inside that ball.
Pickering, an opportunity here to give the Sooners the lead. Sooners have not led since game 1. Never had the lead last night. And I take that back. Sooners had the lead in the first inning. Oh, how quickly things move. The 1-1 Just misses outside.
And Agbayani falls behind 2 balls and a strike.
Ground ball. Ava is going to get the force play at the plate. Not enough time to roll a pair, but huge out for Agbayani, and you want to see something a little bit more than that in that situation coming from Pickering.
Yeah, I mean, Pickering is typically someone who's able to generate those runs, find her way on, sending something through the gap. I don't necessarily like the pitch selection. I don't think that was a good pitch to really work with bases loaded.
Brito, a spot here to try to get some momentum in the Sooner dugout. Bases loaded, 2 outs, and in a place where the Sooners have not been real great here as of late of taking advantage of runners in scoring position. Looper to right field, and it's going to get down in front, and that'll score 2. Alyssa Brito coming up clutch with 2 outs to make it 3-1 Sooners. And it doesn't always have to be a line shot, it doesn't have to be a bomb, but finding a way to get the job done.
And Brito just making her adjustments. We felt like she was struggling just a little bit throughout the weekend, trying to find her timing. You really see her work and make that adjustment, trying to go opposite fields, trying to be just a little bit late
for Sid Sanders. And Alyssa Brito picking up her 41st and 2nd RBI on the season. This is hit well to right field, but Agbayani is going to be underneath it to get the 3rd out for her sister, who's in the circle. We go to the 4th. Sooners take the lead, 3-1.
Geico makes car insurance easy as reinventing yourself after
Your Gulf Coast Hyundai dealer today.
Sooners Sports TV is brought to you by Mathis Home, official furniture sponsor of OU Athletics. Love's Travel Stops, the heart of the highway. Pizza Hut, the official pizza of the Sooners.
Sooners on top 3-1 as we head to the top of the 4th. I'm DJ Sanchez with Destiny McElroy. 3-4-5 due up for BYU, and Destiny, Sooners put 2 on the board. It has felt like since last night's game, BYU has just answered every single time the Sooners have gotten a little bit of momentum. What do you want to see from Kelly Maxwell in the defense here?
I think she's done a good job of getting those leadoff batters out. I'd like to see her close out the inning. We've got to make sure that she is pounding the zone.
Good start there as the ground ball takes Sydney Sanders off the bag on the throw from Alyssa Brito, but Sid Sanders hanging tough as we've seen her do all season.
Great job by Sydney Sanders, just sticking with the play. Brito's got a cannon, so for Sanders to track that ball, find the base, stick with it for the out, it's huge.
Hunter Ava stands in and takes the first pitch she sees from Kelly Maxwell in for a called strike. You know, Maxwell, one blemish so far on the day is the home run, but only given up 2 hits so far. Has walked 1, struck out a pair. As this pitch is hit well to center field, but Jada Coleman says no fly zone and makes the diving catch to keep the momentum in
the Sooner dugout. That's the type of response you like to see from this team.
Yes, those are the things that you want to see, you normally see. Jada Coleman, just an absolute stud in the outfield. Covering so much ground.
Work as Maddie Udall stands in, and Udall has been the difference maker in this game for BYU. Hit a solo shot back in the second. Good for her 4th on the season. And Maxwell trying to follow up a 2-run bottom of the second with a 1-2-3, or excuse me, bottom of the third with a 1-2-3 4th inning, and it looks like she may have done it as Brito fires it across, and Maxwell retires the side. We go to the bottom of the 4th. Sooners on top, 3-1. This is OU softball presented by Bud Light.
Hi, I'm Heather, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich.
That's why Phillips 66 is there to fuel all the ways you go, go, go.
BYU and OU exchanging blows so far in this game as the Sooners took an early lead after a miscue out in right field. But BYU answered back quickly after a solo shot from Maddie Udall, and the Sooners regained the lead in the 3rd inning after a base on balls and a hit by pitch, and this little blooping single from Alyssa Brito scored 2 to put us at 3-1 OU as we head to the bottom of the 4th inning. And BYU making a change in the circle, and it is going to be the freshman Gianna Mares who picked up the win in game 2 last night. And Mares at times having a hard time finding the zone, but really did a pretty good job of keeping the Sooners hitters off balance.
I really enjoyed watching Gianna Mares pitch last night. I feel like she was a true competitor. There were a lot of things that didn't go her way, a lot of walks. And again, we saw that on both sides of the field, so it wasn't that big of a deal really, but she's a true competitor.
And Mares, just a freshman. And the lefty, like you said, Destiny, really showing what she was made of, has a good mix. And the pitcher with the most velocity in this BYU staff. But Riley Boone leading it off here in the 4th. Overall in game 2 for Mares, as we mentioned, picked up the win in game 2 as she falls behind here, 3 balls and no strikes, but through 4 2/3 inning, gave up 4 runs on 5 hits, all of those earned, but again, as she's behind here, 3 balls and no strikes, 8 walks in the night for Mares in game 2, and is going to start her outing here today with another walk to roll it back over to Jada Coleman. That marks the 55th walk delivered by Mares this season. As Coleman stands in, looking for her first hit on the day. Shows bunt, it's a beauty, and Coleman is going to get thrown out, but here comes Riley Boone to take advantage of nobody covering third base, and great heads-up base running by the senior.
I love to see that. Taking first to third opportunities on a perfectly executed bunt. Riley Boone just seeing nobody's covering third. Udall's coming in to try to field that ball. Simmons makes the play. Excuse me, Morrow's back behind the plate. Morrow makes the play over at...
Jennings stands in with Riley Boone at third base.
Jennings 1 for 1 with a run scored here today. Drew a walk back in the third, was eventually thrown out at the plate. Suarez falls behind here, 2 balls and no strikes. Good to see the sac bunt execution coming from this Sooner offense. That's what you got to have in these tight games.
We talked about it really all weekend and almost every game we do together. It's manufacturing these runs. We're used to the long ball, but to see them kind of piece it together, Jada Coleman execute the bunt, Riley Boone get on her horse, go first to third on that. It's huge.
2-1, catches the inside corner for a called strike. Nice location from Mares. One thing Gianna Mares did a great job of in her outing last night was leaving runners stranded, and trying to do it here again in the fourth. As this ground ball is snagged by Kamoku, Riley Boone not able to go anywhere, and BYU an out away from getting out of yet another jam. Mares has been a magician out there.
Mares has been great. I think it's been interesting because she's put a lot of runners on, she's given a few hits, but somehow she always manages to find a way out of it.
Ella Parker stands in. Was hit by a pitch in her last at bat, eventually came around to score, but grounded out back in the first. And just really well played by Kamoku.
I was just getting ready to tip my hat to her. Great play. Able to hold a runner like Boone to third base on a ball to the right side of the field. That's huge.
Haley Morrow back behind the plate for BYU. As we mentioned, Ailana Agbayani came into the circle to face a couple of batters, is now back at short. And the check swing from Ella Parker, third base umpire Jerry Jones is going to say she held to make the count. 2 balls and a strike. And you can see the approach from Parker. All of her foul balls are going to the left side of the field, trying to get on time.
Yeah, opposite field. Mares, we did see a change a couple times last night. She does have it. I wouldn't say it's super effective, but it can definitely get you off balance. She's ahead in the count.
2-2 ground ball right at Kamoku, and Mares leaves another stranded. That is 6 left on base for OU. OU up 3-1.
California childhood rules. The family fun starts at visitcalifornia.com.
Thank you to our cornerstone television partners, OU Health and Anheuser-Busch, and our community partners, Fowler Auto Group, OU Health, OG&E, and Coca-Cola.
It's on top 3-1 as we head to the 5th. Welcome back to OU Softball, brought to you by Courtyard by Marriott. I'm DJ Sanchez with Destiny McElroy. Kayla Kamoku set to lead it off for BYU. And Kelly Maxwell back to work. Retired the side in the 4th. And you feel Kelly Maxwell getting better as this game goes along.
Yeah, I think she's done pretty well. I mean, 2 innings, she's seen 4 batters. Gave up the home run. Walked 1.
Balls behind Komoku here. 2 balls and no strikes. Komoku doing a good job defensively in the bottom half of the 4th to help get BYU out of a little bit of a jam and leave another runner stranded. Good count here for Komoku, 3 balls and a strike. She flew out to left field, back in the 2nd. Nice location from Maxwell to run the count full.
Haven't seen too many check swings from this BYU offense. I feel like they've been very sure, very aggressive. Kelly's able to make them question themselves a little bit.
And that just shows, you know, when we're seeing a lot of those unsure and defensive swings coming from batters, it lets you know that you're hitting the spots and your pitches have got that good movement and break. And I think that's a great point, Destiny, of every single pitch, or excuse me, every single swing we've seen by BYU has been aggressive. And haven't seen too many defensive swings really since Friday night, or excuse me, Thursday night.
Yeah, and BYU on Thursday night, they have definitely come out a lot more aggressive Friday, Saturday than they did on Thursday against Kelly Maxwell.
Three-two. Another check swing, but a called 3rd strike. Maxwell picks up her 3rd K of the day. And that's a big-time pitch.
Really great pitch. You see that spin just kind of come into that inside corner, up out of the zone with that spin she saw.
Haley Morrow stands in, and we talked about that earlier. It's not a curveball that the lefty's breaking in, it's a drop ball.
Yeah.
And it makes it so tough to pick up that spin, and you expect, like you said, to see that pitch fall out of the zone, and it just hangs right at the knee. And there it is again for called strike 2.
That late break.
Morrow stays alive. Looking for her first hit on the day. Flew out to right, back in the 2nd. Maxwell rocks and fires. And you could see Morrow trying to get rid of that drop ball.
They have done a great job of staying alive in the box.
Morrow just hitting 193 on the year. Got herself a battle going here. She has fouled off 4 straight pitches in the 0-2 count.
Lots of foul balls in this series. BYU does not let much go by.
Ground ball, Burrito's gonna cut it off and fire across to take care of the 2nd out of the inning. And Alyssa Burrito making a tough play look pretty simple.
Yeah, she's covering a lot of ground. That ball was going straight to Jennings, but being able to cut that off right after that first hop, it would have been a typo.
2 quick outs brings up Aliyah Bayani. And Kelly Maxwell establishing the first pitch strike here in the 5th. And I feel like Maxwell has moved her tempo up a little bit, working a little bit more efficient and quicker.
I would agree. I feel like her velocity's kicked up a little bit.
1-1 catches the corner, and Maxwell ahead here, a ball and 2 strikes. Looking to retire her 7th batter in a row. Jennings fires it across, and that'll be 7 in a row. Retired for Kelly Maxwell. We head to the bottom of the 5th. Sooners on top, 3-1.
Taco Mayo's classic value menu is, well, a classic.
All the ways you go, go, go.
We go to the bottom of the 5th inning where we've got a tight one. Sooners on top 3-1 over BYU, but we've got a lot of tight ones going on around the Big 12 right now. Let's take a look at our Big 12 scoreboard presented by Air Comfort Solutions. In the 5th, Oklahoma State on top of Iowa State right now 2-1 in their rubber match. Baylor and Texas tied up at 3. We'll keep an eye on that one in the bottom of the 3rd. No score from Houston between UCF and the Cougars, and Kansas and Texas Tech slated to get after it at 4 o'clock this afternoon. But a lot of good games going on around the Big 12 today, and we've got ourselves a good one here in Norman. Sooners looking to extend their lead here in the 5th as Kinsey Hansen stands in to face Mares. Hansen 0 for 2 here today. Reached on an error and has been, really, you go back to that play in the 1st inning, it's been a difference maker in this game. A run came around to score on a misplayed ball out and right.
2 extra chances for Kinsey in that at bat. Saw her pop up, and Morrow had to get out of the box and find the ball.
The 1-1 is hit well to right field, but it is going to flare foul into the visitors' bullpen. And Mara's ahead here, a ball and 2 strikes. Gianna Mara's entered this game last inning in the 4th. Inherited a 3-0 count to Riley Boone. Boone eventually walked, went all the way around to 3rd base where she was stranded, and Mara's just doing what she has done every inning, it feels like, since she has been in the circle, getting out of jams. She has left so many runners stranded.
And put so many runners on.
It's like Jekyll and Hyde out there, it feels like. It's like, you know what? Might walk a couple this inning, but then we're going to get out of it. And count runs full to Hansen.
And it's funny because, I mean, that's how BYU operates. In the conversations we've had with Coach Eakin, they know that they're going to have to defend and they're going to put runners on. But they've just got to outscore their opponents. We talked a little bit about their scores throughout the season. We've seen 17-15 ball games, and lots of runs are being put on the board.
And Hansen gets her first hit of the day as she rounds first, is going to stretch this into a double as she slides in safely. And Hansen has a leadoff double to start the 5th. Here come those Sooner fans.
There they
coming to life a little bit.
Kinsey Hansen just turning on the wheels.
And what a slide by Hansen as that throw's coming in.
Getting on the inside part of that bag, trying to avoid the tag.
Villarreal wore the throw coming in, but that might be the day for Gianna Mares. And we're going to see another call to the bullpen for BYU.
We'll tell you more about what we've got when we get back. This is OU Softball presented by Bud Light.
Geico makes car insurance as easy as getting stuffed up during allergy season.
You did this to me.
With an app that puts your policy in your pocket, it's easy to Geico.
Walks and struck out 2. 48 pitches thrown by Temples in that outing. As this game is starting to get deeper, the lefty is able to potentially finish this ball game if she is staying in the zone.
Yeah, she's got to keep the ball down, but she's got to pound the zone and keep runners off the base paths.
Maya Bland into pinch run for Kinsey Hansen at second base, and we're going to get back to it. Runner in scoring position here, and nobody out for Alina Torres. Torres 1 for 2 on the day, came around to score back in the third. And gets a piece there. Temples uses that rise ball a ton, which a lot of times it's kind of interesting because so many times we see rise ball pitchers have that overpowering velocity, and Temples is not that type of pitcher, but rise ball is her go-to.
She's just going to climb up and out of the zone. She cannot afford to leave one hanging. She does have that rise ball. She's got a great off speed and a changeup.
Spot here for the Sooners to add to their 2-run lead. Sooners have left 6 runners on base here today. This is hit well to center. It's going to burn. Owens out in center. Maya Bland will score. And it's an RBI single to make it 4-1. Alina Torres coming up clutch. One of the hardest hit balls we've seen off a Sooner bat here today.
Alina Torres really finding a way to be a staple in this lineup. Seeing that ball up in the zone. Just getting her barrel on plane with that pitch.
That just takes off with that spin and shoots over your head.
You know, it's tough, but I think as an outfielder, you've got to take that first step back. If that ball starts over your head as an outfielder, you've got to take that first step back and get a better read on it.
And well hit ball by Alina Torres, but what might be discussed as a defensive miscue for BYU after this ball game. Either way, Sooners play another to make it 4-1. Riley Ludlam at the plate, pinch hitting in Cassidy Pickering's spot, and Avery Hodge pinch running at first for Alina Torres. I'll keep an eye and see if Hodge stays in this ball game and goes to second base. As Temples evens the count up at 1s. I'll say this. I feel like this is really the first time in this game that the Sooners have taken advantage of getting a leadoff hitter on and executing and plating a run. I feel like we've seen so many missed opportunities for this team offensively.
Yeah, I mean, we're in the 5th inning and we've seen 6 runners left on base. That's very uncharacteristic for this OU offense.
Back-to-back base hits here in the 5th for the Sooners. The ground ball right at Udall. Could be a pair, but not not enough time. Avery Hodge is thrown out at second for the first out of the inning here in the 5th to bring up Alyssa Brito. Brito, a 2 RBI single in the 3rd. And really, it feels like that is when the Sooners kind of woke up and said, let's go.
I think her at bat was the biggest adjustment that we've seen with this lineup. Brito was struggling with her timing. We saw her make that adjustment. We saw the momentum shift into that dugout.
One-0 catches a corner. You know, something after the loss last night, and so many things that you could pick apart in that game as this gets away from Morrow, but Ludlam staying put at first. But in talking to Coach after the game last night, she made a comment, and it was interesting to hear, but she says, you know, we've been winning games and we've just been playing average.
Yeah.
And it's a dangerous place to live when you're pulling out games, but you're still not playing your best ball.
Yeah, if you can win and you're just being average, it's going to catch up to you at some point. And really, you don't want it to catch up to you in postseason. So it's good that they've been exposed. They've got some things to work on. They've got to be better.
Count runs full to Alyssa Brito.
I heard an interview with Kinsey Hansen last night as well, just saying they've never been kicked in their teeth before. This senior class has only lost 12 games in their career. I mean, it's decent if you lose 12 games in a season.
When you think about that, 3 of those have come in the last week and a half, as this one is gonna get out of here in a hurry. Alyssa Brito, have a day. It's a 2-run shot for the senior to make it 5-1 Oklahoma. Or excuse me, numbers aren't my strong suit. But Alyssa Brito coming to life and having a day. OU on top 6-1 here in the 5th.
And that pitch was piped. I mean, you cannot afford to throw that to Alyssa Brito, especially when she's trying. Cannot throw that pitch to Alyssa Brito when she's trying to find herself again.
She's definitely found it. 4th RBI for Brito here in this ball game. BYU is going to go back to their bullpen to try to stop the bleeding here in the 5th. Sooners on top, 6-1.
Lay the foundation for your future while helping build Florida's tomorrow with a career in road and bridge construction. Dive into a role with competitive pay, paid overtime.
Kate Daly back in the line on her for the day. She's thrown 2 innings, given up 1 run on 2 hits. Also walked 1. But Daly is another pitcher on this BYU staff who is also on a pinch count.
Yeah, and we see this approach from quite a few teams against this OU offense. Is they'll bring in different pitchers. You'll see a pitcher throw 2 innings and another one come in, but they're kind of forced into this approach just with the injuries, with the pitch counts. They started their season with 8 pitchers. They're down to, we'll say, 3.5.
And Daly falls behind here, 3-0 to Sydney Sanders. And the BYU pitching staff, again, this is a staff that started with 8 pitchers. 3 are currently out for the season due to injury. Temples, as we mentioned, on a pitch count. Daly coming back after having couple injuries of her own. So this has been a BYU pitching staff that has just truly faced adversity all season.
And Agbayani being called upon when needed, just straight off of shortstop.
If anything, I mean, this BYU team has showed some absolute grit with some of the things that they've had to face. Injuries are always something you can't control, and you hate to see it for any player on your roster as Sanders stays alive. But it's always, you almost always feel like it hits a team a little harder when it's your pitching staff that is going through injuries, and takes away from kind of that feeling of consistency.
Yeah, and it definitely affects your defense as well. You get settled into your, your Thursday night pitcher, your Friday night pitcher, your Saturday night pitcher. That kind of took a turn when you lose 4 of them.
And good at bat by Sid Sanders to draw the walk here with 1 out to bring up Riley Boone. And it looks like we are going to see another pinch runner as Quincy Lilio is going to make her way out. As we mentioned earlier, it is Riley Boone's senior day.
Counting down the seniors on this roster. 10 of them. 10 senior days. Just about every home game will be celebrating a senior.
Boone 1 for 1 on the day, drew a walk back in the 4th, but was stranded at 3rd. And Daly finds the zone.
A good opportunity to make the defense do something.
And popped up to the right side. Ali Agbayani takes care of it, and it's 2 outs for Jada Coleman. And just as you were saying, Destiny, good time to use the dirt.
Yeah. Would have been a great time for Boone to keep something going. She has such great control of her barrel.
Coleman looking for her first hit on the day. Laid down a sac bunt back in the 4th. But is lined out and flown out to right field. You can see BYU catcher Haley Morrow keeping an eye on Quincy Lilio at first base. Daly falls behind here, 2 balls and no strikes. Make it 3-0, and the pitcher in me is cringing a little bit this weekend.
2 outs.
So many hitters counts on both sides of the ball. These pitchers have struggled to work ahead. And it's a 4-pitch walk to Jada Coleman to bring up Jennings. With runners at first and second, 2 outs for the senior. And Jennings on the season.
51 RBI and just continuing to climb and climb and climb up that RBI chart. And another timeout called by BYU. And Jada Coleman trying to pump up this Sooner crowd as they were kind of getting down on BYU for calling timeouts. But I'm going to say this, it has worked for them.
Yeah. I think that's definitely something that they're purposely doing. They're getting these timeouts, slowing the game down, killing the momentum. But I like what Jada did there. She kind of changed the tone. You felt the fans kind of getting ready to criticize BYU and the amount of timeouts that they've called. Jada took her opportunity to kind of spin that and pump up the crowd.
Coleman still working the crowd, working that Sooner dugout. Feeling the moment with runners at first and second for Jennings. And 5 straight balls delivered by Kate Daly. Gotta love the aggressiveness coming from Tiara Jennings on the 1-0. 5 straight pitches out of the zone, and Jennings attacking. Feels like a very similar situation to what we saw Thursday night. Sydney Sanders hit a 3-run home run to end the game in run rule fashion. And home run would do it here. The 2-1 misses low, and Daly falls behind. 3-1. Daly has been behind every batter she has faced since she's come into this ball game. A big pitch here for the freshman. And misses upstairs. And it's back-to-back walks to load the bases for Ella Parker. And the freshman has a shot here to really put BYU in a tough spot as this game is starting to get late. And these are the places where BYU pitchers in this series have come up big and gotten out of jams and just stopped OU in their tracks.
Yeah, they have really been able to get out of these situations. Be interesting to see Daly kind of work through this. It's a tough lineup to throw to, and you've got to be able to pound the strike zone and not walk in any runs, but you've also got to be very careful and strategic with what you throw to a hitter like Ella Parker. Then it's never ending. You've got Kinsey Hansen next.
Ella Parker 0 for 2 here today. A pair of groundouts to second base, but was hit by a pitch back in the third and eventually came around to score. Daly brings the 1-0 and finds the strike zone with a changeup.
It's a good pitch.
There are a few things better in this game, in my personal opinion, than a hitter's count off speed. Love it.
Yeah, I mean, Parker was not expecting that.
Daly rocks and fires. and changes speeds again as Parker lets it float on by for strike 2.
Coach Grasso not liking that call.
Bases loaded, 2 outs. The 2-2 pitch laced down the right field line and foul. Sooner fans chasing it down. Some brave people trying to catch that without a glove. We had a couple with some gloves, but saw a lot of bare hands go up for that. Two grounded up the middle. What a play by Agbayani, but no one's paying attention. And that'll plate 1. Agbayani saved a run by keeping that ball on the dirt and had a potential play at second base. And it just floated over the head of second baseman Kaylee Kimoku, but Agbayani, big time, keeping that ball on the dirt.
Really hard hit by Ella Parker. Agbayani making a great play up the middle, covering so much ground, ready to...
And the throw, a little wide, and I call it a throw. The backhanded flip from Agbayani trying to desperately get an out at second. A little wide, but you could see the surprise from second baseman Kayla Kimoku of when Agbayani made the play.
Kimoku just caught a little bit off guard. I think she was also going up the middle to make the play, not covering second base.
Regardless, Sooners played another to make it 7-1 and bring up Kinsey Hansen in what would be the game-ending run. Standing at second base in Tiare Jennings. A base hit here could end it.
I love the poise of Kinsey Hansen. Just so calm.
Yeah, one thing, I mean, Hansen, captain on this team, but, you know, everything she does physically, just, she's never too high, she's never too low. Such a great trait in a leader. As Daly falls behind 2 balls and a strike. I'd say great trait in a leader, great trait in a catcher. One poked foul. Sooners have batted around here in the 5th. Put 4 runs on the board. It all started with a Kinsey Hansen double. And full count here. Big pitch for the freshman. Bases juiced, 2 outs. Runners are gonna be on the move. And you can see BYU coaches frantically adjusting their defense. And it's a ground ball to second. Kimoku makes the play, and BYU gets out of it to leave 3 stranded, but not before the Sooners put up 4 to make it 7-1 OU.
Bring on the flavor with Fire
5 electrolytes and lower sugar. Hydration for every athlete, forever.
Sooners on top, 7-1 as we go to the 6th. Let's take a look at the upcoming schedule. And Tulsa matchup coming up on the 16th, and that game will be played at the Hall of Fame Stadium in Oklahoma City. The Houston Cougars coming to town
next weekend, and then the Sooners hit the road to UCF, and then finally the final Bedlam matchup and what could be determining factor on who wins the Big 12 regular season the first weekend in May. So tough road ahead for the Sooners, but if this team that's shown up today starts coming out, gonna be some really good ball games here down the stretch. Couple of changes defensively for Oklahoma as Riley Ludlam goes in behind the plate and Hannah Core in right. Everything else stays the same. And check that, Avery Hodge in at second base as well. And Kelly Maxwell back to work, set to face the 9-1-2. And gotta feel pretty good as this game is getting deep. Kelly Maxwell's thrown really well, but has now got herself a 6-run cushion. Macy Simmons, 0 for 1 here today. As Maxwell falls behind here, 2 balls and no strikes. Since a walk back in the 3rd inning, Maxwell has retired every batter she has seen, making it 7 in a row. Falls behind here, 3 balls and a strike.
She has had a pretty good outing, getting all of the leadoff batters out.
Something no pitcher could do in game 2.
Yeah, going 3 up, 3 down 3 times.
Maxwell evens it back up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. And now I'm with you, Dusty. I mean, on the day, holding BYU to 2 hits so far. One of those a big one, but really the only blemish on the day for Maxwell is the home run back in the 2nd, but delivers a leadoff walk here to the 9-hole and Macy Simmons to roll it back over to Ailana Agbayani, and that is the first base runner that BYU has had since the 3rd inning. And it looks like
a freebie.
And the 2nd walk delivered by Maxwell today as BYU goes to the bench.
The only 2 base runners have been given up, handed to them.
Lexi Bennett, the pinch runner for BYU. And Ailana Agbayani, 0 for 1 and drew a walk as she shows bunt. Made a tremendous play up the middle in the bottom of the 5th to save a run. Has been in the circle in this ball game. And we were talking during the break, what a well-rounded ball player Agbayani is.
Yeah, she has been phenomenal. Just being able to be called upon in the circle it's huge. But what she's done in the box, what she's able to do on the base pass, defensively at shortstop, she's covering a lot of ground.
And Agbayani, just a sophomore. Her sister Aaliyah, a senior for BYU. As this is laced into right field, Bennett is going to move up to second base.
But chalk up another hit for Ailana Agbayani, and she has really been a thorn in the Sooner side this weekend and just absolutely lacing this pitch.
I mean, there's no stopping her. She's really able to work with a lot of pitches that have been thrown to her. Inside, outside, she can handle.
Runners at first and second for Maddie Bejarano. Nobody out here in the 6th. And one thing Maxwell has done a good job of in this game is working ahead in counts. However, leadoff walk to start the 6th. Base hit by Agbayani, and now behind here to Bejarano. Bejarano 1 for 2 on the day, struck out back in the 3rd, but had a single in the 1st.
Not able to see the bullpen, but curious to know if there's any activity down there.
Two-1 is lifted to the right side. Hodge is on her way back, but Hannah Court calls her off to make the play for the first out of the inning. Good job by Hannah Court.
Yes, I love the communication out there. See Hodge trying to work her way back to make the play, and you see Core kind of take ownership of that ball and call her off.
And you could see Avery Hodge from the get-go looking a little uncomfortable. And there's a good shot at the bullpen. Nicole May, a little bit of movement.
Nicole May had the start last night.
Wouldn't shock me if we don't potentially see Nicole May in the 7th.
Yeah, I was a little shocked to see Kelly come back out in the 6th with the 6-run lead.
Sophomore Lily Owens stands in.
But again, this BYU offense is so aggressive. It's tough to take a pitcher like Kelly Maxwell out after the performance we saw last night in May and Deal and SJ.
Little check swing for strike 1. And I'm with you, Destiny. I mean, Maxwell picked up the win on Thursday night through a 1-hit shutout, has been solid here today. But it would not be bad to see Nicole May get another opportunity, try to wash away last night's outing.
Yeah.
And no better place to do that than with a little bit of a lead. And as it stands right now, a 6-run cushion if Maxwell can work around a couple base runners. But behind here, 3 balls and a strike. And Maxwell pops off the mound, but off the shin of Owens. And the count runs full. Owens, a pair of groundouts here today. Grounded into a 5-4-3 double play back in the 1st. And ground ball, this should be 2. But the throw takes Sydney Sanders off the bag. And Owens is safe at first. And Destiny, you and I were talking about this at the break. We have seen quite a few throws across the field from Alyssa Brito in this series that are taking Sydney Sanders off the bag.
Yeah. You know, just having a little bit of a tough day over at third base.
And bases loaded for BYU's RBI leader, Hunter Ava. I say bases loaded. Runners at first and second. I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit today. The ducks on the pond for Hunter Ava. And Hava's stick has been pretty quiet in this series. 0 for 2 here today. Lined out to center back in the 4th.
But Ava has shown how dangerous she can be this season. Gave BYU another chance, and a ground ball, that's a play we typically see made.
Yeah, that play's got to be made.
And Coach Rocha out to have a chat with her battery, but Coach Gasso out of the dugout as well to have a chat with her infield. What's the message here, Destiny?
They've just got to settle in. You've got to get this out. You know, Coach Gasso is, I'm sure, wanting to go after that run rule, get them back in here and score some runs, but bases loaded. You've got to be able to make plays here.
And something we have seen in this series, I mean, Coach Gasso and this program prides itself on having such a stellar defense, and they have been. But I've got to say, it has not been outstanding on the defensive side of the ball for the Sooners in this series.
I would 100% agree. I think that they have been exposed. There's been a lot of different things that I'm sure they're going to be able to tackle in practice this week. A lot of first and third opportunities. Some plays at the plate that kind of took Kinsey Hansen away from the bag. Just some small things.
And one swing of the bat from Maddie Udall gets the Sooners out of it. Scoreless for BYU. We go to the bottom half of the inning. Sooners up 7-1.
It's all happening this spring at Riverwind Casino. Good times, great reward.
Field. This is OU softball presented by Bud Light. As we go to the bottom of the 6th, Sooners a 6-run cushion as they're up 7-1. You got to think this is a team that might be really trying to push here in the 6th to extend that lead and potentially push for the run rule. Trying to make a statement after the loss in game 2.
Yeah, I mean, I bet that's exactly what they're thinking. They've got to piece it together here. Hodge is a great table setter. Great person to have in this leadoff. She can find her way on and get some momentum flowing through that dugout. They've got a good chance.
Avery Hodge leading it off here in the 6th. And you always say that. I mean, the Sooners are on top 7-1, but I go back to some of the things we've heard Coach Gasso talk about. This team's not firing on all cylinders right now. And, you know, the offense has put up 7 runs here today, but with that said, still a lot of runners that have been left on base.
Yeah.
Still some missed opportunities. We've also seen some defensive at-bats.
Yeah. And I think she touched on it yesterday, and you kind of talked to her about it. They're playing very average. There's a lot that could have been cleaned up and capitalized on this game. Yes, they have the 7-1 lead, but it could be a lot better than that.
And on the other side of the ball, I mean, BYU has their fair share of mistakes here today as well, as this is popped up to the right side, and it's going to fall in front of Agbayani. Big turn from Avery Hodge, but she'll retreat back to first base, and it's a leadoff single to bring up Riley Ludlam.
Great execution by Hodge, just finding her way on, being a table setter.
Great day at the ballpark. Ludlam stands in, takes the first pitch she sees for a called strike. Hodge, just a sophomore, but has seen some opportunities and taken advantage when she gets them. As you said, Destiny, setting the table, but I've really been impressed with Avery Hodge and what she's done defensively. Such a smooth middle infielder.
Yeah, and when we talk to Coach Gasso, it's very back and forth between Hodge and Torres over at second base. And Coach Gasso says, you know, they've both performed really well. It's just a matter of who the opponent is and who makes sense in the box at that time.
Ground ball down the line to even the count up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. And Kate Daly, as we mentioned earlier, keeping an eye on the amount of pitches she throws, but at 83 on the day. Again, Daly started this ball game and then re-entered back in the 5th. The count runs full to Riley Ludlam. Ground ball up the middle. Kamoku flips it. Agbayani tries to turn 2. And there's a pair for BYU. Daly inducing the ground ball, and what a turn up the middle.
Yes, just a great job, Kamoku, just getting that side toss. Agbayani coming in.
Brito has been the difference maker for the Sooners in this game. 4 RBI. Had a single back in the 3rd and a 2-run home run in the 5th. And Brito staying hot at the plate. Make it a 3-for-4 day for the senior.
That was an extremely hard hit ball through the gap. That one just going down to get that ball knee high.
BYU head coach Gordon Eakin out of the dugout to go have a chat with his freshman pitcher. And I get the feeling, I mean, BYU starting to run a little low as far as their arsenal of arms. Still a couple that we have not seen here today. Alyssa Aguilar still in the wings, but again, a BYU pitching staff that has just really been depleted. But it looks like BYU is going to stick with Kate Daly. 2 outs and a runner at first base for Sydney Sanders.
Coach Eakin likes to chat. He likes to go out there and let's talk about it.
You know, and here's one of the things. I mean, Coach Eakin has been at BYU for 22 years, but that's one of those things, you got to know your team, right?
Yeah.
And as much as we've seen it, we've talked about the chess game a little bit in this series so far of stopping the pace of play and BYU kind of controlling the pace in the way that they go about things. As that gets away and Burrito is going to move up to second base on the wild pitch. But this is something that BYU and this coaching staff just does. It's not, you know, maybe a little bit more of the gamesmanship in this series here in Norman, but you got to know your team. And if that's what your pitchers need, if that's what your defense needs, it's part of it.
Yeah.
And Daly behind here, 3 balls and no strikes.
They really have. I mean, last night they controlled the pace of the game from the moment it started.
And the 3-0 misses upstairs, and it is a 4-pitch walk to Sydney Sanders to bring up Riley Boone. Runners at Runners at first and second, and Sanders at first would represent the winning run in this ball game. And Riley Boone on her senior day. Daly fires the 0-1. And out on her front foot, but hooks it enough foul, and Riley Boone completely fooled on that pitch.
Adjustments are having to be made all series long, really. Just the amount of pitching changes, you're in a constant state of adjustment.
And laced right at Udall, but she will glove it, and BYU strands 2 more runners. Final call for the Cougars. Sooners on top, 7-1.
Or get 3.89% APR or 1,000 bonus cash. Visit your Gulf Coast Hyundai dealer today.
Welcome back to OU softball, presented by Bud Light. Sooners 3 outs away from taking the series and wrapping up game 3, and Kelly Maxwell has been a big part of that. She has been really solid here today, looking to go to the distance, giving up 1 run on 3 hits, a pair of walks, and a few strikeouts, but Kelly Maxwell has really been a calming force for this team here in game 3.
She has done well. She did well in game 1. She's doing well in game 3. I think the hitters, the BYU hitters, definitely came out with a different approach in game 3. A lot more aggressive than they were in game 1, and Kelly's been able to handle it really well.
Gave up the solo home run back in the second, and that has been all she wrote. As second baseman Kayla Kamoku stands in, a strikeout victim back in the 5th. And Kamoku gets her first hit of the day into the left field corner, and it's a leadoff double. And that'll bring up Haley Morrow.
She's really able to get down there and take care of that pitch, just finding her way on.
And not a bad pitch coming from Kelly Maxwell.
No, not a bad pitch at all. It's just able to really work with it.
Maxwell's had a lot of success with that drop ball today, and Kamoku just going down and getting it. Good piece of hitting. Catcher Haley Morrow 0 for 2 here today.
Had some zip on it.
A little bit of rise ball fun up in the eyes. The 0-2 just misses outside, but that's a good 2-strike location.
Really good pitch. Kelly has really dominated the zone. I think she's had really great command of those knee-high.
And speaking of commands, big time pitch to sit down Morrow on strikes. Sooners 2 outs away from the victory as senior Aaliyah Agbayani stands in. Agbayani grounded out to short in the 5th, lined out to third in the 3rd. As we're looking around the Big 12 Conference at scores and games that are wrapping up, we got a final in the Oklahoma State-Iowa State game. The 1-1 is hit well to center field. Jada Coleman is back at the warning track, and that ball's going to get out of here. Aliyah Agbayani, a 2-run shot here in the 7th to breathe some life into BYU and make it 7-3. And you can't defend walks, you can't defend a home run, and that's what we've seen here today.
And you cannot leave that ball right down the middle, up in the zone. That's just a pitch that can be sent out. Agbayani with the strength.
Kayla Kamoku is fired up. That is Agbayani's 2nd home run on the year. And here's the deal. Kelly Maxwell has been really good in this ball game today, but she has made 2 mistakes of catching way too much plate. And you got to tip your hat to BYU. They have made her pay each time she has missed a pitch.
Yeah. I mean, those pitches that we've seen sent out are belt high, right down the middle. I mean, those, with an offense like BYU, those are going to be taken advantage of. These girls are swinging the bat. They're not letting many pitches go by.
And BYU is going to go to the bench, and pinch hitter Lindsay Madrigal, the junior, getting her first at bat on the weekend. And Kelly Maxwell trying to close things out and pick up the victory. But going to get back to what we were talking about. Oklahoma State, Iowa State has gone final. Game was tied in the 7th, and Iowa State hit a 3-run shot to win the game 5-2 and take the series from Oklahoma State. And that is the highest ranked series win in Iowa State history. Man, this pitch is hit to the right side. Hannah Core is on her way, but it's going to loop foul. I think that had Sooner fans holding their breath there for a minute.
I mean, these Big 12 standings are going to be interesting after this weekend. And really, there's still a lot more games to be played. Lots of opportunities for the underdogs to show what they can do.
The 1-2, swing and a miss. Kelly Maxwell sits her down, and it is final call for BYU.
What a great pitch. You see that late break.
If you want anyone to have the bat in their hands and trying to extend a game, if you're BYU, it is Ailana Agbayani. 1 for 2 here today. Drew a walk back in the 3rd, but she has been outstanding in this series. Anything that she has been called upon to do, she has done it, and she has done it well. Maxwell looking for the complete game victory. 1 out away. And make that 1 strike away as Sooner fans start to get up on their feet. The 1-2, and just misses outside.
Agbayani staying alive. Maxwell brings the 2-2. Ground ball up the middle. Hodge is going to have to be quick. And not in time. Agbayani beats it out in what will be ruled an infield hit. And Agbayani has a 2-hit day. Tell you what, making a case for Big 12 Player of the Week after what she's done here in Norman.
She has been so great to watch. Just the way that she's battling in the box.
Maddie Bejarano waves at the first pitch she sees. Bejarano had a single back in the first inning, struck out in the third, and flew out to right in the sixth. As Kelly Maxwell and the Sooners trying to seal the win, but BYU will not go quietly. Maxwell painting the inside corner. One-two count here in the seventh. Strike three, Sooners win. Kelly Maxwell, complete game win. And Sooners get right on this Saturday. To 3, Sooners take the third game of the series and win the series against BYU. Let's take a look.